Welcome to Women of a Certain Stage, the podcast redefining how we think about menopause. I'm your host, Lauren Turin, a passionate advocate for breaking the stigma and empowering individuals to navigate this transformational stage of life with confidence and clarity. Here, we're diving into a new era of menopause support, featuring expert advice, real-life stories, and actionable insights. Whether you're curious about building your personal menopause plan or you're looking to make an impact, you're in the right place. Let's embrace the change together. So remind me, for people that are listening, just give a little bit of sense of who you are and where you come from. What's your background?
So my background, I haven't had a sort of probably a traditional pathway to get here. I, at the end of 2024, decided to change my career. I had personal reasons for it. I'd become a carer more or less overnight for my mum. So she was diagnosed with dementia in 2020, and that just threw us straight into this. She was on her own, needed to be cared for. So my priorities kind of changed around about that time. And then I was working in a very high pressured job, and that was all fine, and I was managing it. I was quite well supported in the sense I could go off and make a lunch if I needed to, or so I was very lucky. And then I just decided that things changed at work, and I just thought, if I'm going to do this, make this change. I was 50. I was thinking, this is my last chance, and I thought, well, I'll just give it a go, And I've been giving like unofficial nutrition advice to friends and family and things. I'm a runner, so I had lots of friends saying, "Oh, how do I fuel for this marathon?" And and I was giving this unofficial advice, and I thought, well, actually, I could probably make this work. I needed to believe in myself, and I thought, well, I'll give it a go. And so I retrained, and then saw lots of people who were really, really struggling with menopause, and it all seemed to fit together. And then I found you, and I was like, well, this is the course for me. And it's gone from there. It's been a big journey, but it's been so rewarding. Yeah.
So you first of all trained in nutrition, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
So what talk to me a little bit about that, because I think one of the things, I know, and that it is really confusing when people go online, and nutrition is probably one of the most fundamental things that we can do to get right, to help ourselves through menopause. And how does someone know fact from fiction when they're online? How does someone know to come to you? How do we help people, signpost them to the right people to work with them?
I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? Because, everybody goes online and everybody knows somebody who's taken the supplement and it's done brilliantly for them. And actually so much of what we see online isn't based on science. It isn't based on research. And I think that's the key, isn't it? That you need to be so careful where you get the information from, and you need to make sure that the person who you're talking to hasn't just done a 2-day course on nutrition and then has a certificate and they're like, yay, come to me. And they don't have that background based on evidence or science, and and that actual key knowledge. And I'm very quick to say, if somebody asks me a question and I don't know the answer, just like well, let me find out for you, and I know where to go to get the right information. And I think that's key, because there's so much false information out there, and we can get so sucked into believing that this influencer with 11,000 followers is the one who can give us advice on what we should be doing and what we should be eating. So I think people just have to be really, really careful about where they get advice from, really.
People are making a lot of money out of being influencers and influencer marketing. It's when you run your own business, you start to really understand how that all works. And one of the perfect examples I remember seeing was, I can't remember which brand it is, but there's a brand of water. And this brand raised, $10 million when they first launched. And they spent something like, I'm not quoting the accurate figures, but just as an example, they spent over 60% of that money on Jennifer Aniston to be the face of the brand. So with her face and their bottle together, they were then able to launch it into supermarkets very easily. But the bottle of water on its own without the brand, so they spent more of the money on the branding and the marketing than they did on the actual water itself. I'm not saying the water needed anything more or less. I'm not saying the water was good or bad. I don't have an opinion about it. But I just think it's really interesting when people start understanding how these things work. And it does mean that we need to go back to the science and the research behind products, especially when it comes to what we're putting in our bodies. So you're merging together, or are you, the nutrition and the menopause, or are you doing them separately?
No, I'm merging, but I'm offering both, because obviously I support all genders and can work with anybody, and I don't want to sort of not be able to support somebody who needs the support. So I'm merging both, and I'm hoping to also take it into workplace to try and get, robust policies in place for people that need them. So and it all seems to come hand in hand. It feels like it's just all. Yeah. It's a whole package, and I've got a friend who's a PT, and so I'm going to work with her. We're going to collaborate, and we can offer movement and support around that as well. So so it's a whole package. Yeah.
And whereabouts in the world are you based?
I'm on the south coast. I'm near Brighton. Yeah.
You're near Brighton in the UK. Phenomenal. Yeah. Excellent. Cool. So are you looking to work with people in person, or are you looking to work online? How's that going to shape up?
I'm happy to do both, but I am much better face to face, and I think it's a really powerful thing to be able to meet somebody face to face, and even not necessarily sit opposite each other and talk. Go for a walk, and there's such a power in being outside and connecting that way. People sometimes find it difficult to have a conversation, don't they? It's like when you've got your kids in the car, and you can quite often have that difficult conversation when you're not looking at each other.
There's no distractions, and they can't go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm sort of doing a bit of both, but at the moment, the majority of my work is face to face. But obviously, that's not always an option, is it? So yeah.
Brighton's a beautiful place, especially for going running. Are you a long distance runner, or
Yes. So I am a long distance runner. I've done 6 marathons. I hadn't done any until my mum got diagnosed, and running became my real passion. It was my outlet. So I've done some marathons, and I'm heavily involved with parkrun, which is such a fabulous thing,
Such a good concept.
Oh, it's amazing, and the change it makes to people's lives. I'm lucky my one is right on the beach. Yeah, it's Hove Promenade, and it's fabulous, and the community so supportive, and so that's a great way of connecting with people.
I've done one park run. That was it. Yeah, I did the Couch to 5K during the pandemic, and I did our celebration of finishing it was doing a park run, and it was like that. It was like the steepest park run, 2 loops round. So obviously what goes up must come down, but it's steep up and then slow down, steep up and then slow down, which was interesting. Are you doing Brighton this year?
I'm not doing Brighton. I'm actually volunteering at Brighton.
I will see you. You can wave.
Oh, you doing it? Oh, I'm on Water Station 13 then.
Water Station 13.
Yeah,
excellent.
I'm at the one where you're going to be struggling slightly by that point. Well, maybe not, but
probably yes.
I'll be there. So yeah, my
is that a mile? What mile?
It's mile 20. Yeah.
I'll be struggling by then.
Yeah. Well, I'll be there. Oh, how exciting!
Where's my water? I've done about that much training for it. No, I did a little bit. I was very lucky. When I was traveling last year, I managed to run across different promenades in different countries. Yes. It was so nice being out in beautiful weather in the middle of the winter, getting some miles under my feet. I did Brighton last in 2014.
Okay. Oh wow.
And I didn't do any run training for it because I had a damaged knee and a damaged toe, but I used the watt bike and the rower and did lots of strength work and somehow got round. So I'm hoping this year that I can still get round because my training's been a bit patchy. But a few weeks left. A few weeks.
You've got the muscle memory, haven't you? Done it before, and it's such a great atmosphere as well. I think you'll be really pushed on by the crowds.
Brighton's phenomenal because every single step of the way there's people there. That's what I loved about it. There wasn't a single patch where there wasn't anybody. So it's really well laid out. So
no, it's fabulous. Excellent. Well, I'll see you there then.
Cool. You hopefully.
yeah, exactly.
I'll be dragging myself along. So tell me about. You've obviously, that's a big life change, right? So many of us get to this kind of age and stage of life, and suddenly we've got elderly parents to look after. We're trying to hold down full-time, part-time jobs. We might have a family as well to look after. I just spoke to someone just now, and she's got a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a baby. Wow. And she's going through menopause. And I was like, I only had one at the time. But so what brought you, why the Menopause Coach Diploma? Why not some other program or course?
I think I obviously did a lot of looking around. I knew it would fit in really well with what I wanted to do, and I saw you. I think I first saw you on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And obviously you've got quite a high profile on there, and I watched some of the things you were talking about, and I did some of your one of your free courses that you run, and it was all about workplace, and I was like, gosh, this is so interesting. And then I think I did a bit more research, and we had a conversation, and I think what drew me to your course in particular was you, really. It was the fact that it was so personal, and that you quite clearly wanted each and every member of your cohort to succeed. You know, it was you have got so many people you want to train, and so many people you have trained, and you're on this mission, aren't you? And I think you facilitated this cohort, and I expect all the cohorts are the same, but ours is just this lovely group of supportive people. And you know, I work on my own, and it can be quite lonely sometimes, can't it? And I know that if I've got a query, I just go into the group chat and say, what do you think about this? Or, you know, and somebody's there with the answer. So it's like having work colleagues again. You know, it feels like this wonderful, supportive community where you are, everybody wants you to succeed. We're all doing the same thing. We're all working towards the same cause of, you know, helping people and helping people thrive in menopause. But your course gave that, you know, and you're so readily available. You know, if any of us have queries, you're like, no, I've done my bit. I've trained you now. You know, you're not like that. You're like, let me help you. Let me support you. And I think that's just transformational, really, I think.
Yeah, I think I've done so many coach trainings over the years that the ones I got the most out of were where there were community, there was a live element, and you could still ask questions even after you graduated. And for me, that was really important to be able to offer that going forward. And as more and more people come through the programs, it's going to present different challenges, but it's still something with the current cohort and the current cohorts that are going through their post 12 months support. It's still manageable. It still works really well. And I am really keen to make sure that everyone gets what they need out of the program, which is why the initial conversation is so important to me. I've had a few today, and was one lady, and she's like, no, sign me up, I want to do it. And I'm like, I need you to just go into this in a bit more depth. I just want to make sure there's complete alignment with what you think you're coming on to do, and you know, what I actually offer. So I've gone through some more stuff with her in more detail, because of course, if it was just a program you can sign up online, anyone could be there, you're going to have mismatch, you're going to, you know, and it's really important for the cohort cohesiveness, that people know what they're coming on board to do, and what sort of support they're going to have going forward. Definitely. I think, you know, talking about just reflecting on what you're saying about your mum and leaving work and now working your own, you go from being an environment where you've got all this wraparound support work-wise, maybe not personally, but work-wise, and then all of a sudden you're on your own with everything. Community is something I think we miss a lot in menopause.
Yeah, I agree. And I think things like, for example, parkrun, that community, I'll chat with the cohort during the evenings, but I know on a Saturday morning, I'm going to go down, and whatever's gone on in my week, I'm scooped up by the community. And I think organisations like parkrun bring so much to they make such, they are literally life-saving, you know. And I think that sense of community is so important, whether you get it at work or whether you get it in your, you know, at the weekend or at home. You know, it's so crucial, isn't it?
Yeah, phenomenal. So what were the kind of key elements of the Menopause Coach Diploma that you kind of went, that really spoke to me, or your biggest takeaways from it?
I think my biggest takeaways are obviously the coaching that we did. I mean, the first time I had to go into a breakout room and be coached, I was like, oh my gosh, this is awful. Because I'd never been coached before, you know, and I think that was a real eye-opener for me, even though I'd done some coaching training and stuff like part of what I did. I didn't do anything practical in that sense. And so for me, I was like, okay. And we got obviously taken through the menopause plan, and it opened up areas that I hadn't even thought about for me. You know, when we discussed, you know, we discussed movement, and we discussed nutrition, and we discussed routine and boundaries. boundaries for me was a big one, you know, having gone from working in an office to then working at home with family around, and can you take me to the train station? Actually, I'm working, you know, that type of thing. It really opened up a sort of, for me, made me think, gosh, actually, you know, I've got quite a bit of work I need to do here to make this new career work, and also to help me get through perimenopause and menopause, still in one piece, you know, because I can practice what I don't always practice what I preach. We don't, do we? So, so that was massive for me, the coaching side of it, and also all these specialists that you get in to talk to us was fantastic, you know, because you feel like they're talking directly to you, and you can ask questions, and you know, that was. Gosh, that was amazing. I learned a lot through that. Vikram coming on and talking to us, and loved that part of it. So it was brilliant.
I feel very fortunate that they, you know, support the program. That means so much to me, because you've got people that are cutting edge, right at the front line of menopause, coming to talk to us, always keeping us current and up to date, and that's so important as well. So. I'm just sitting reflecting, like my brain was going in different directions while I was listening to you. But I was also thinking, you know, there's part of me before this call that was just teetering on the edge of perhaps not completing Brighton.
Well, now I tell you what,
now I have to be there. I was just sitting there going, oh, maybe I should go for a run tonight. I've said it out loud in public. Or do I edit that out? No, I won't edit out.
Don't you dare edit that out.
But that's the power of connection. That's the power of community. That's the power of having someone to talk to listen to soundboard off. And that, in some respects, is a part of a coach.
Yes.
Because if I had just been telling myself the story I've been telling myself, which is... I've not got enough run training under my belt. I haven't got the distance under my shoes. I haven't broken in my new shoes yet because I lost my other ones. And I'm travelling the next day. It's probably not a good... I'll do it another year. I can defer. And I'm having this conversation with myself, but because I've said it out loud, it's like that extra accountability. And now I feel like, no, I have to do it. No matter how it turns out on the day, I have to do it. And that's the power of a coach.
It is. It's fabulous, isn't it? And it really, when you have these conversations with people and you talk about things you probably didn't think you were going to mention Brighton Marathon because you didn't know where I lived, you know. And so it's just how conversations move on and develop, isn't it? And I think that, like you say, is a very powerful thing.
So from doing your nutrition course and then doing the Menopause Coach Diploma and being coached, you've said that kind of opened up new things for you. What other impacts that had from actually having been coached as part of the process?
I think it's made me realise the power of communication, you know, and the fact that you always talk to us about allowing silence. Don't sort of feel you've got to chip in and say something else. Just let people sit with a thought, you know, and how powerful that is. And I've put that into practice a few times, and then people just open up more, you know. And I think that it's such a simple thing. You know, people we're nervous about silence, aren't we? And actually,
very uncomfortable.
Very, and so just things like that you said, all these little tips that you've given us along the way with the coaching. It showed me how I can coach, and obviously when you've coached us as well, and the sort of example ones you've got in the portal where we get all our information from. And I've listened to all of those. I listened to those before I did my practice clients again. You know, I've listened to them a few times. And each time you pick something else up, you know, so you're constantly evolving, aren't you? And I think that's a really good way to approach things, that you're not going to deliver the same thing every single time, because people say different things and people have different needs, and it's adapting yourself to the circumstance.
Yeah, I think. Which I think with practice you just naturally evolve and do that as you're going through it as well.
Yeah, and it's empathy, isn't it? And building that compassion into and picking up on when people have had a really bad day and actually they don't want you just need to change the whole thing altogether and just sit and be a safe space for someone to talk.
Yeah. So you talked, before we jumped into this, we talked about you looking after your mum. And we talked about her ill health, and we talked about your daughter. Not talked about your daughter, but the fact that you have a daughter.
Yes.
So tell me more about the importance of all the family aspect for you in this, and the kind of, I guess, the health and well-being space, really. It's more than just menopause, isn't it?
It is. I think when my mum got her diagnosis, it changed my life. It really did change my life, and it hasn't all been negative. I mean, she's a firecracker. She's still got this sense of humour, and she doesn't know who I am, but she'll correct my grammar. She's hilarious. And she'll sort of look me up and down if I'm wearing something she doesn't like. And, she's really, really funny. And so it's still in there. You've just got to work a little bit harder to get it out. And I think it just made me, we all want to live a long time, and we want to get to old age, but we need to get there well. And I think that's the key, that she's 83 now, and her quality of life is appalling, and I think there are things you can do along the way to try and make sure that you age well. And I'm not talking your skin, or I'm talking about your physical well-being, your brain health, and the fact that you can still tie your shoelaces, so it's keeping fit and active. And I think that's the running was this lifeline for me. And then the more I ran, the more I was like, well, what can I do next? I need another challenge. Maybe I can do a marathon. I had a friend who helped me get through the first one, and then it just it went from there. And I've signed up for an ultra this year. It's that's something I never thought I would ever do. Yes, exactly. And it's madness, and I keep doing these crazy things, but I feel they're all helping me age well and keep fit and active. And then I have to eat well, and then I can support my friends and family and clients with that as well, and sort of learn as I go. So it's just I'm all about longevity, but you've got to have a well, age well at the same time.
Yeah, the expression, what is it? We live long and die short. No, we live short and die long.
Yes.
So we live for a short period of time, and then we die for a long period of time, and we need to reverse that.
Yeah, 100%.
Are you pro supplement person or not pro supplement person?
I used to be. I used to, before I sort of really went into all of the nutrition side of things. I would take supplements, but I think the more I've learned and the more I've gone along this journey, I've realised that you can, with a balanced diet, you can get everything that you need. Obviously, I fully behind the NHS on vitamin D, because there are months, but we've got a beautiful sunny day here today, but it's been a shocker, and you can't get the vitamin D, so obviously that's important. But if you're eating a balanced diet, you can get everything you need from food, and you can add so much to your plate to make sure you're getting it. It's being curious. That's a word you've taught me, curious. Because that's so true, isn't it? We're very set in our ways, and we eat the same breakfast day in, day out, but chuck on a few pumpkin seeds and some sunflower seeds, and you're getting more fibre, and you're adding to that meal. So there's ways you can do it, and it's just being tuned in to what you're eating, I think.
So if someone's on a really tight budget, and they maybe don't understand even the basics, like the difference between a fat and a protein and a carbohydrate, without going any deeper into it than that, what would be your top 3 tips to them? My top 3 tips, they would be, don't be afraid of frozen food, because you can still get all those lovely berries and things. You don't have to buy them fresh, and in fact frozen ones are potentially, at this time of year, they're more nutritious. So that's something that I would always keep in my freezer, so you can get all those lovely sort of nutrients out of those, and the colour, obviously, the more colour you eat, the better. I would say fibre. You can get fibre really cheaply, and fibre is something that we just don't get enough of. Give an example for someone that maybe doesn't know what fibre is. So
moving from white bread, so really processed food, to a wholemeal bread, so whole grains. So I think the key would be moving away from beige food, because you're not getting all those the fibre and the whole grains in there, and it's the whole grains that are really, really important. Moving away from ultra processed. You can all sort of access a farmer's market, or somewhere where you can pick up all those seasonal veg has a lot more nutrients in it. And then also the other thing, if you're on a really tight budget, tinned food, again, you know, that's always tinned at source, and as long as you avoid syrup and things are in water, again, you're accessing things that perhaps you couldn't get seasonally, but you can always have something in the cupboard, so you can have that extra portion of fruit, or you can air fry the potatoes in a tin. They're still equally good, aren't they?
Yeah.
But it's sometimes, even if you're living alone, it's quite hard to get through a whole bag of spinach. Freeze it. It's perfectly good frozen. So making use of what you have around you, your freezer and your store cupboard, and having those ingredients in there can make a massive difference to your budget, and also your access to foods that you can't always get depending on time of year.
Yeah, I think one of the other things I've noticed is Lidl and Aldi doing more vegetable boxes. So they'll, like, as you get to checkout, there'll be a box of veg or fruit and veg that they, you know, or maybe they've had surplus of, and they're selling it off for £1 or for £2 as well. Yeah. And one of the things I bought when my son was little was a great big blender. I found when he was a baby, I went through blenders all the time. Yeah. So I spent like £18 in a blender, and eventually I saved up and bought a good blender. And now I just chuck any leftover vegetables at the end of the week into the blender with some water, a bit of stock, and let that blend up into a nice soup, so everything's used up, and then I can freeze the soup into portions for during the week. So
100%. And also keeping those peelings, you know, all the carrot peelings and stuff, put them in your freezer, and you can make a lovely stock, you know. So I think it's just having meal prepping and having an idea of how you can, that basic knowledge is really helpful, isn't it?
So with your nutrition background and experience and brain, when I started talking about, I don't need to go into the reset in its entirety, but just in principle, the concept of the reset cleanse, how did you find that as we were going through the menopause plan?
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea. I think as we get, you know, what a food that serves you really well at one stage in your life may not be the right food for you later on. And intolerances and things can develop over time, can't they? And I think the idea of cutting back on things that you know are going, or are potentially things that can cause you sort of irritation and inflammation, is a really great way to just restart and have a blank canvas, so to speak, you know, that you can then build on from there. And I think cutting back on things like dairy and alcohol and processed foods and red meats, you can't go wrong, can you? And I think you don't want to say, oh, I'm never going to drink again if you're having a drink, you know. But it's
or a steak or a big bowl of yogurt or whatever.
This is it. Yeah, exactly. But sometimes it just helps you refocus in a way on what you're eating and thinking about what you know, the long list of food is really helpful for people who don't have that background knowledge, because they can go, well, actually, I've never tried rice milk. That was it, actually, for me. It was the rice milk on there. I don't eat dairy, but I'd never tried rice milk, and so when we did it, I was like, well, let me try this, and I love it. I had it this morning on my porridge.
Oh wow!
You know, so it's you know, you learn as you go, and I think if you're curious and you're open to change, then it's a really lovely opportunity to go, right, well, this is what I'm doing for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be looking at what I'm eating.
So tell me, let's put menopause to the side for a minute. Let's look at the nutrition work that you do and the clients you work with. What would I expect if I was coming to you to help me out with my food? Because that's what I think of someone who works in nutrition or a nutritional coach. So how would you help me if I phone up and say, hey, I think I'm not feeling my best and I think I need some help to sort things out. What would happen when someone got in touch with you?
So what I do is I have a conversation with them, either sort of like this or on the phone. Well, tends not to be on the phone, but face to face, and talk about them and what's going on in their lives and what their background is, and you know, take a full history, including medical information and bits and pieces, and then I'd ask them to keep a food diary, because I think that is a really good place to start. And I always say, don't pretend you're having your salmon every night, your oily fish. It needs to be really honest. And I think when people come to me, they are actually at that point where they know they need to make a change, and they are willing to be really honest. And so I then look at the food diary, and I can analyse that. I've got a program I can do that with, and I look at what, you know, their macronutrient intake and fibre and bits and pieces, and I can see from what they say about their symptoms and what they want them to change, where perhaps we can make changes. And I think, again, it comes in line with the coaching. It's not me telling them what they need to do. It's talking about what potentially they want to do and how they can make these changes and how any changes can fit in with their lives, so that the change comes from within them. And it's not about, right, we're going to reset completely. It's about little tweaks they can make here and there. And I think that's the same as the menopause plan, isn't it? We just make these tiny little changes that become habit forming, and are really like massive in the sense that they can be life changing. So that's how I approach it, and have a really good conversation, and then I work with them going forward, and we revisit things, and I can go to their house and sometimes cook a meal with them as well, and show them how they can, if they haven't got the basic skills, which is quite kind of nice. And again, they feel more comfortable because they're actually doing something, and then there's something they can then recreate, and or even go to the shops. You know, we can go and do a supermarket shop, and I can point that, you know, instead of then picking up the white bread, I can say, well, look at this, you know, this is how this would work, and this is potentially how it make you feel. So there's so many different ways. It's not a plan, you know, I just go with the flow.
I love that.
It's really good fun. Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah, I love the idea. I remember when I worked as a personal trainer, we would do nutritional planning with clients sometimes, and going to the supermarket was always hysterical because people just automatically reach for what they always reach for, don't they? And then you're looking at the label, and then you're saying to them, right, can you pronounce these words? Because I can't. You know, and there's so many things in food that are not, you know, they're chemical additions in some way, shape or form. And it's always fascinating when they suddenly realise, you see it dawning on them that, that's maybe not something I would choose to put in my body. And then they start changing and then start reading labels and understanding the red, amber, green that's been brought in.
This is
I think that might be changing as well.
I haven't heard that one, but I think it's definitely useful, isn't it? So I don't know what they're bringing in, but I think there are some clear ways of making sure that people have that awareness. You know, because that's so key, isn't it?
So always good to know what you're putting in your body, because it has such a big impact on how you feel.
100%.
So what else have I not asked you about today that you'd like to share?
I don't know. We've covered quite a lot, haven't we?
What's your top tip for somebody who's thinking, I'm just not feeling 100%? Maybe they're menopausal, maybe they're perimenopausal. What would your kind of top tip be for them? I think the main thing is to try and tune into how you're feeling, and maybe keep a journal or some sort of diary of your symptoms, so you can see a pattern, because quite often a pattern will develop, and then you can kind of go, oh, okay, right, well, it could be around food, or it could just be around mood, and if they're still having periods, around their cycle, you know, and that gives them information. They're armed with information if they want to have a further conversation, you know, to take that to their doctor, or to talk to a friend about this pattern that's developing. And I think it's just having that conversation, isn't it? Yeah, for sure. Well, I would recommend anyone that's got any curiosities around their food or how to improve their eating habits to definitely get in touch with you. I think you've got the most soothing, wonderful voice that I could listen to all day long. So I want to say a huge thank you for choosing to train with women of a certain stage, but also for the broader work that you're doing as well, and for your time today. So Alice, thank you so much. And
thank
you. At water stop number 13.
Yes, no, exactly. I'll be there, and my voice won't be soothing. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me on Women of a Certain Stage. I hope today's episode inspired you to think differently about menopause and the incredible opportunities this stage of life brings. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with 3 friends who need to hear this message. Don't forget to like, subscribe and leave a review. It helps us reach even more people. You can connect with me on LinkedIn at Lauren Turin, or visit our website at womenofacertainstage.com to learn more about menopause coaching, inspiring events and corporate training. Until next time, let's continue making a difference, one conversation at a time.